On the first day of the patch, I looked through the tech trees and found to my surprise a ship that I really didn't expect, and that was the Ersatz. And while it is not really necessary nor an up or down tier for the German tech tree at 7.0, it has delayed a little bit the chance to see the actual Mackensen with its unique 13.8-inch guns. Now, at first glance, the Ersatz seems like a really great ship, and in large parts it is, but there is one thing missing, and that's the bite. I hope you enjoy. So, hello there, and welcome back to War Thunder aboard the Ersatz, Germany's first battlecruiser in the tech tree at 7.0, because it comes in the tech tree just before the Scharnhorst, which it shares the rank and the battle rating with. And the two ships could not really be much more different if they tried as battlecruisers, and I think the main armament is the main difference here. So the Ersatz basically has the same guns and shells, ammunition, firepower handling as the Bayern class, of which we have now 3 already, so technically speaking it's the 5th, 7.0. And I really would have loved to see the Mackensen, because it potentially could have been Germany's first 6.7 battle rating ship. So we still have the split between 6.3 and 7.0, which is nasty for quote-unquote new players. But anyway, let's have a look at this ship. And before we start looking at it, I have to say that this ship has driven me insane. Both because it's really tanky, yet when you pull the trigger, mostly nothing happens. And when we look at this gameplay, it's the best that it could have done so far. But at the same time, I just have given up. I just have given up because the environment is not nice. It's not the ship's fault. The ship's great. Let's quickly go over the armor. We have a main belt of 300mm. Bulkhead is 250mm. We have a distributed armor scheme. Icebreaker 120 and 30mm. Deck plating somewhere between 15 and 30mm. Internally another armor plate of 30mm. And then we have an internal belt that is a bit spaced, that is 60, and in the upper parts 30mm, and that makes the ship insanely tanky. I would say, despite your belt missing 50mm to the Bayern class, this internal spaced armor is more effective than the Bayern's turtleback. When you angle and the enemy doesn't get a lucky shell, then they just get insane on your armor. There are still the shell catchers for the secondaries. Then we have the barbettes with 300mm turret face, 300mm again, both are 50mm less well protected than on the Bayern class, because in fact the Ersatz is a battle cruiser. We have a higher speed than the Bayerns. We have 50 kilometers per hour, which is slap bang in the middle between the Bayern and the Scharnhorst. And yeah, I think that this makes the ship really great. It feels like a Bayern after a diet, actually. The guns, the reload, the shells, the shell selection, that is absolutely identical to the Bayern. And this is where the problem starts. In just a moment, I'll talk about this in great detail. So your secondaries, they actually can bite destroyers and cruisers alike. They are nice, but you really don't have that much AA. It's not really preventing anybody effectively, except if they get unlucky and fly in a straight line. And your 500mm torpedoes, well, we will see later at the end of the battle that it's nice to have them, but are they really effective? Well, it's up to you. Okay, let's focus on the main guns. And they suck. We have effectively the SAP round, and it has a whopping 67 kilograms of TNT bursting charge, great penetration on paper, but it very often doesn't seem to bite. I get wonderful, spectacular explosions when I fire them at the enemy and hit, but they always seem to miss the part where they, would hurt a lot. Yeah, and then we come to the AP, and at 10 kilometers we have 437 millimeter. That's not the best AP, but it used to be sufficient. And even if I shoot at weaker protected enemies and even sometimes heavy cruisers, my god, does the shell suck. And despite its 25 kilogram heavy bursty charge, um, something's off with this round. And I even played the Bayern because I had the spectacular idea that Gaijin failed at copy pasting. But no, I have the same experience with the Bayern, and honestly, that is really distressing. We have 20 seconds of reload for 8 guns. If they would really bite, that would be okay, but they don't. And I think this is where you can call this ship the German HMS Hood, because it still has tough armor, it's reasonably fast, and it has 8 15-inch guns. And the British HMS Hood has 30-second reload, but vastly superior penetration. And you kind of feel this, but 8 guns, oh, we have some horrible dispersion here. And I had the same with the other ship that I wanted to show you, the British HMS Rodney, which for me is dead on arrival because I really can't deal with 9 guns having 40-second reload. That's an absolute deal breaker for me. I will have a look at it maybe over the course of the weekend. I have to apologize for having delayed the video. I was sick and I really couldn't get footage, and even when I tried I couldn't get footage because bot slaying is not really something that you put on YouTube and expect great response from your viewers. But here we can observe I'm shooting here a cruiser at just under 6 kilometers with 15-inch guns, with 5.9-inch guns, and sometimes on some servos the secondaries do more damage than the main guns. Also, there seems to be something off with the aiming in this patch. I really can't tell you exactly what it is, but it's kind of erratic. There seems to be a lot of accuracy loss. Some shells just go to Narnia and beyond. At the moment, it's not really refreshing playing Nebo, and I have quite the suffering ceiling, let's put it that way. If it takes so long to just chew on enemy cruisers, I have cases where I shot at a Des Moines for 10 minutes and couldn't sink it. But this is the problem. If something doesn't work and you want to prove it with over time, you need to make videos for 2-3 hours to summarize your experience, to give all the examples, where then the viewer just loses interest. And I absolutely agree, because it's just something really odd. It's easy to show a compilation of one shots of great salvos, etc., where you see immediate success, immediate results. But when something is bad, how do you show that, right? And I know that people are quick to criticize, and not every salvo is perfectly aimed, but over the course of some dozens of games, over the course of a lot of battles, and the shells and the guns being the same on the Bayern, I had a previous tendency where the shells were less and less effective, but here we are, and the ship is fast enough to go to places. The ship has sturdy armor if you angle it. This spaced armor really seems to screw with enemy shells, and maybe my shells kind of suffer the same. It is absolutely horrible to fight enemies. It is nice to be the shell sponge for your team, but really it's not a ship that I would point out and say, wow, this is the next new great thing. I didn't expect it. Again, I would have loved to see the original Mackensen class and what Gaijin gives us for specs for the ammunition for the 350mm guns on those. We will have to see. The AA, or rather the lack of, is usually not such a big problem. But for example, You could see I was shot just right now, and there is a patrol boat. And if I would have now any sort of 20s, 37s, 40 millimeters, I could easily get rid of this guy. But wow, missing just like this, and being lucky that he hasn't fired torpedoes apparently, and then firing from the hip and one-shotting the S701. Being really lucky. Aircraft coming in, the 88s trying their best. We launch a second torpedo. We see that it basically does no damage on the Russian battleship or Russian dreadnought. It's a bit horrible, to be honest. Second torpedo on its way, severe damage on the incoming aircraft, and yeah, we shot down the Bf 109K. Okay, not the most dangerous aircraft to approach a battleship, but you get it. So yeah, we caused some flooding, we probably cost him some percent of crew, but honestly, this is not a spectacular result. Another aircraft coming in, and maybe we're not so lucky the next time. Game's about to end. It would be a shame for me to die here. So that is a Do 209, 217, but something else approaching us, and oh, what are those bombs? Yeah, they are big bombs. But we destroyed the BF, the Do 217K, in fact, and this is the result. The results are okay-ish, nearly 100,000 K SL, nearly 10K RP. No talisman on this, but some boosters, some small ones. Yeah, this ship, man, I hope Gaijin fixes some of the issues when it comes to the firepower, to the aiming in particular, in general. It was not a pleasure to play it, but I don't think it's the ship's fault. It's insanely tanky if angled correctly. It's durable. You have big guns, but they don't have the bite, and this is such a shame, because currently the strongest German ship, and one of the strongest ships in War Thunder right now at 7.0 in particular, is the Scharnhorst with its 11-inch guns, because they actually work. And having said this, that's it for me today. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comment section if you have the same experience, or is the game just fine and dandy for you. And as usual, please give this video a like if you did. For you it's just a click, for me it means the world. I need some positive arrangements with the algorithm, and as usual, we'll see each other on the battlefields, in the skies, and on the waves of War Thunder.